everyone. I'm Maria Shakil. I work with NDTV. And what are we talking about today? What shapes content? Is it the audience that is shaping content, or is it the content which is shaping the audience's taste? What came first? Is it chicken and egg? And at a time when we are looking at an evolving situation, we continue to be in digital age for over a decade, and we continue to say that it's an evolving digital age, which is rather ironical, I would say now, because we have been in this age for long enough. What is driving audience? Monica, I'm going to begin with you as the Vice President Content of Netflix India. You deal with creators, you speak to them. Is there something called giving audiences what they don't know they want?
I think there's absolutely something called that, because surprising the audiences and, launching new trends is something that is at the heart of innovative storytelling, and it's very important, which also, by the way, I want to actually clarify, doesn't mean that you should always foist something on audiences that they don't want. You have to actually be close to your audiences. You have to understand they are very discerning about what they want to watch, but they are also deeply curious and they're willing to experiment. So it's important to, as a creator, to have the purity of your vision, but the power of telling is what defines how close you are to your audiences and what size of audience you're telling a story for.
As a journalist, I have covered crime. So I'll be coming to Madam Sir also in a bit. But before that, Black Warrant. Do you think that audience, their taste has evolved, that they can move between a larger-than-life presentation in Hira Mandi to watching a jail superintendent in Black Warrant?
Hello everyone. Yeah, I think they can. In fact, I don't think that's something so new. It's been going on for years. Audiences are much smarter than we actually think of them. And I think audiences want to see all kinds of stories. There's a time to be immersed in, larger than life sort of grandeur. There's a time to be, fall in love, to be shocked, to be scared. So there's different times, different moods. So I think audiences are pretty sort of open to doing those kind of things. When we were making Black Warrant, I mean, the book is in one place, but I think the making of it, what Vikram Motwani and his team managed to do, was quite something quite special. And I think when we came and showed it to Netflix, I mean, the most amazing thing is that Netflix got it at the first screening. I mean, they saw it and they said, okay. So that's wonderful. It really happens to us. So, and then because of Netflix, what happens is that they are able to take a story like this, which is, at face value when you think about it, a story about jailers in Tihar jail, yes. Set in the early 80s,
yes.
Is it's like very counterintuitive as to whether anyone would like to see something like this or not. So it's thanks to platforms like Netflix that we're actually able to take such stories out, and it's very validating when people actually like it. I think they do want to see everything.
So Zahan, are you stopped at places and told that aap to Sunil Gupta lagte hain?
With this hair, not so much, but it does happen a little bit, and it's so heartwarming to hear how many people have connected. Like you said, I think to be able to communicate a not so glamorous story to such a large number of people could only happen with a platform that can, back you. So just very, very grateful to be in this position where somebody says, oh, aap wahi hai na, jailer.
Sunil Gupta hai.
Loved jailer is a rare
Absolutely.
He's a loved jailer.
Yeah.
But there's a loved cop here. Madam Saib, tell me your story. I loved Delhi Crimes and your character. Again, the same question that I asked the content creators, that is there some kind of pressure that drives you to do better as an actor?
Well, what drives me to do better is that every time I go in front of the camera, I realize I don't know it. So I don't know where to begin. It's like starting all over again, and I'm like, the director's going to say action, and I'm going to stand there dumbfounded, not knowing what to do. But that is, having said that, for Delhi Crime, because, when we made a show we loved and believed in, And we did not, at least I did not expect it to become so larger than life. And Madam Sir and Delhi Crime became unprecedented. So it was, every time I have to wear those shoes, I'm terrified. I'm just terrified. So yeah.
Should I move to Bibojan then? Please come in now and tell us about the difference between web series and cinema. This is a conversation that I've had with several actors in the past. I want to understand your view. The mic is there.
I love how I got this mammoth task. Honestly, as an actor, I personally don't see a difference because what is it? Like, for me as an actor, I come to set, empty page, absorbing whatever is, put in front of me, listening. And then, as Shefali ma'am said, between action and cut, something happens. And that is your wonderland, and that is there are infinite possibilities in that wonderland, and then you just go on a journey. And that happens on every set in front of every director, be it a film or a show. I think the only difference is that for an actor, a show is like running a marathon. Because you are there in that same character, living that same story out for longer. But then the flip side of it is when you work with somebody like Sanjay Leela Bhansali or Vikramaditya Motwani or directors that you basically love, that you get that much more time with people that you love and respect and admire, and people from whom you can learn. And they take you on a journey, and that's the magic that happens between a director and an actor. And I don't think the medium for an act, at least for me, I don't see the medium being that doesn't change anything for me. I think it's just being on that set and going on that journey which makes a difference. Having said that, I do believe that in writing and in creating, there is a huge difference. Because again, they are dealing with that much more content, that many more stories. Whereas in a film, it's that one story, that instant, and then you sort of, there's a start and finish, and then there are no seasons. I mean, unless you have sequels, etc., etc. So I think that's a creator's difference. But I think for an actor, it's just feeling that moment and running with it, with the maker.
Monica, since the actors are running away, it's your
We're not running anywhere. We're right here.
So,
we're walking away.
Walking away.
Yes. Walking
I
away.
give it to you. So, Monica, since there was a point that was made by Samir here, that rarely such, scripts are approved or such videos are approved. Yeah, so that point about content being rooted in Indian context, is there some kind of distance or is there disconnect, I would say, between, because you have traveled far and wide, particularly as a reporter, a journalist back then, to now, when you see that content, do you see some kind of disconnect between what you have seen or you would want to show to the audience to now? We keep on saying that realism or reality is very different from what we see. It's not always that grand and colorful.
I think that's a great question, by the way. I think the audience is really trying to tell us something. Why are they liking the real stories so much? And also, there are two need states that you go to. There's an escape that you want, a comfort and escape, and then there is relatability. Both are important. And the audience wants to see their lives reflected in the stories. There's a huge Indian audience out there. They really want their stories to be told. And yes, there are moments, and many, many moments. Our cinema has done that, where we give a lot of escape in our cinema. And when we go back to period storytelling, that's close to reality, but for that period, it's close to reality, and that needs to be, like Heeramandi, with all its grandeur, it did show you that, the Shahi Mahal actually fought, that the women on that street fought for the freedom struggle, and they are a forgotten chapter in the history, those women. So I think it was based in realism, and it was produced beautifully in Bhansali style. So I think it's really important for us to remember that the audiences want to see themselves. They love watching international content. There is so much of dubbed and subbed content that they watch. But if you see any single day, the number of Indian stories, the most recent, how they're trending, it tells you that everyone first goes to check that out. You know that, okay, this story is from Bihar, what is it saying? Let's check Khaki, let's see Black Warrant, let's see Maharaj, or let's see Sector 36. And I think for us, what's important is on Netflix, we often say that variety is our superpower. And in this room, if I just look, everybody would be having a different taste. We've all gone to school, we've seen Venn diagrams. I'm sure many of your tastes match, but you all have your own circles and your own spaces that you own, which are very your taste. So I think for creators, it is even more important. As times are changing, every creator's story is changing the audience in some way. There's a metamorphosis happening with every thing that's happening around us. There's so much more access. So I think it's really important for creators to come closer to their audiences. And as Netflix, we always believe that we are the conduit for that. It's important for us to be that conduit to bring the audiences closer to the stories and the creators, and to do the reverse also.
Okay, since you spoke about that effort at connecting the audience and content, come in now, Prerna, particularly with Hira Mandi again, because that's one of the greatest series that we have seen in recent years.
And people are still watching it.
And they're still watching it. So how do you connect with a global audience with a series of that nature?
See, for, like we said, and the heart of Wave Summit, our clear positioning is, you create content from India and ensure that, the world sees it. So far as the Hira Mandi is concerned, it was an original story, which was developed, and at heart of it, at our production house, we believed that, yes, this is a key storytelling, and let us develop it in a episodic format, because, initially we wanted to make it into a film. Then once we read the material and everything, and we felt that, it'll do justice if we develop it into a series. And then, of course, keeping the entire cinematic extravaganza, and also, like how just Monica mentioned, we also took care of the Shahi Mahal, the power of freedom, which was not, not highlighted earlier. So everything has been taken care, and the way it was lapped when we launched the series, it excelled in more than 43 countries, and how it became popular in US and many other places.
Was it among the Indian audiences there, or
Yes.
was it only...
No, it was a mixed thing.
response?
Yeah, it was a mixed,
I had Somalian girls from Somalia stop me on the street in London. Germans, French people, like all over
All
the
over,
world.
yeah.
Say Bibbo Jan, and I was in jeans. So, maybe I was walking nicely.
So for example, the Gazagamani walk, it had some million reels which created.
Yes.
So those are the things which became really iconic across.
So I want to understand a little bit more about adolescents having some kind of resonance among the Indian audience, because we have done debates on it. As television journalists, we have done news debates on it. But before that, Shefali, as someone who has chosen characters which strike a chord, Shefali Shah is relatable. Is that a very thought out decisions, or you think that after just March?
No, I don't know any other way. So that's who I am, that's what comes across. But I do agree that, going by the work I've done, a lot of people before meeting me are extremely intimidated. They think I bite. Then I have to clarify, no, I don't bite. But having said that, I've never really sat and calculated what is the pros and cons of doing this character. I think what strikes me, and I feel that's the same what strikes audiences when they watch something, is absolute authenticity and the rawness and honesty of it. And that's what strikes me when I pick a script or I pick a role. That's what comes across. That is something that grabs me. So have I thought of how I behave in person? No, I don't. this is who I am, and I don't, acting isn't the most easy thing to do, and I do it as a profession. I don't want to do it as a person in real life. Having said that, the characters I play, if they're not authentic, if they're not real, if they're not honest, I don't think I'm going to be able to reach across to anyone across the screen.
Sameer, as a veteran of this industry, there is one question that often comes to our minds. This is to do with if you could rewire one assumption the industry keeps making about audiences, presuming that audiences want this, what will that be?
Well, actually, there are many assumptions that the industry keeps making about the audiences that we can rewire and should rewire. But, if you got to pick one or two, maybe. So there are two. One is, of course, that for the most part, everyone is a genius in hindsight. So whenever anything works, there are a whole truckload of explanations as to why it worked. And when it doesn't work, there are, again, an even bigger truckload of reasons why it didn't work. So that's something that the industry really lives with and deals with, and that's just part of the nature of the beast, I guess. The other thing I think that we can do is this assumption that, either people say that we know what the audience wants or that the audience doesn't know what they want, so therefore whatever we do. We hear this a lot, I'm sure you hear it a lot, about, this wonderful new romantic comedy or a slice of life's romance or a story never told or never heard and all those kind of things. So these are just things that keep happening from time to time. But that being said, when you ask this question as to what comes first, whether creators come first or the audience comes first,
Yes.
the first thing is, of course, that all creators are also audiences, right? So all of us here are also consumers of content, and we are equally influenced by the content, and then we proceed to make content. So it comes in some sort of, little bit of data, little bit of knowledge, insight, experience as to what people may or may not like. And then on that, you just go forward and try and tell the best story possible. I think there are too many quick fixes in the industry about, trying to tick boxes as to, this is done, this is done, this is done, and now this should work, which usually doesn't work out. So I think the core to that, the one thing that every time the industry goes back to good storytelling, it works.
And what is good storytelling?
Well, usually good storytelling, again, is in hindsight now, because when you tell the story to yourself, you tell the story to yourself, it sounds really good, and then the office, it sounds really good, and then everyone, the worst with comedies is that everyone's always laughing. So because they're always laughing, then you think, that this is funny. But, so I think good storytelling is something that what we discover later is that it keeps audiences engaged. It makes them, they say that a story has got to be unique, deeply unique, and then completely universal. That means that if you're telling me a tragic love story, please go for it.
No, go for it. No, I'm listening.
If there's a heartbreak happening on screen, and if it doesn't give you a lump in the throat, then it's not good storytelling. So, I think if you're able to touch audiences, make them feel what you're trying to communicate, and it happens. It's damn tough to do, and we more often fail than succeed. But I think Koshish Zaria. So.
No, but the best part is that the industry is constantly evolving, and it's coming up with newer ideas and newer evolving voices or emerging voices, if I may say. Aditi, you were telling us about stories of women who came in and spoke to you.
Oh,
it's a global sensation that Hira Mandi is, if I can say that, or a viral sensation.
I think, we were just recounting that soon after Hira Mandi released, I went to Cannes, and we were doing this, we were just having fun. We were recreating the walk, along the promenade. And there were so many people who just stopped, started walking along with us. And then after that, I was traveling, and I was in Italy and then in London, and there were so many people who came and they recognized me, and they said they didn't know, they couldn't remember my name, but they said Bibbo Jan, and it was really amazing because they actually connected. And I think that's what Sir was saying and what you asked also. Like, the thing about stories is like when you're a little child and you hear your grandmother tell you a story, what is it? Is she a great storyteller? She is, if a little child sits there, eats their food and listens to the grandmother. That's because whatever the grandmother said touched that little child. So she ate her food. I was that child who never ate. So I know that my grandmother was a great storyteller, and I think that goes for filmmakers as well. When they touch, when as an actor, if a filmmaker gives that actor that world and that space and that sort of emotional sort of wherewithal to be able to reach you and sit in your heart, then that is a story that you're going to connect to, and that is a story that you're going to go home with or keep coming back to. And I think that's what storytelling is in a very simplistic way. But I think simple is what it is. It's just about a connection. It's human connection. And that's why it doesn't matter where the content is from. It's emotion.
But even that simple, what you say, actually takes a lot of effort to put
But
across
that's
as
the
simple.
craft. Like as a child, I used to dance, and my dance teacher used to always tell me that when you come in front of an audience, don't show me technique, don't show me gimmicks, don't show me how clever you are. Just connect, just flow. And I think for us, that's as actors, I think for us, when we have directors who create that for us, because I can't say that we can do that in by ourselves. We need that team, we need that writing, we need the director, we need that space to be able to do that. But I think that's what it is. It is, the craft is there, but that's the team, that's the director, that's the storyteller. But as actors, what do? We flow, and we make you believe what we are feeling is real. And that's the connection. And of course there's craft. Without craft, there's nothing. But craft is the main thing. We start with that intention that with craft, we are going to tell you a story. But then after that, it is about being real and honest and keeping that moment magically real.
Connecting, as you
Connecting,
said.
yeah.
And that's what your grandmother
It's-
told you. That's such a nice mantra. So, how do you connect? I mean, Bibbo Jan connects with the audience. And how does Sunil Gupta connect with the audience? Zahan?
I don't know. But just riffing off of this, I think it's very interesting. A good storyteller, in my opinion, is someone who also listens to the person in front of them. So your grandmother is listening to you, has the capacity to look into your eye and tell you something and see your reaction and build on that and build on that and build on that. And that's a very immediate process. So deep listening, not what you're thinking, what you're doing, but how you're reacting, how you're feeling, and then being able to engage in that. That works for a lot of the time in live scenarios. We're able to sense whether everyone is nodding off and looking at their phones, and how much attention is in the room. You kind of are perceptive to it. But for filmmakers, I ask this question, is that we have to take a leap of faith based on conviction and trust that our story 2 years from now will hold. And there's more information today than we've ever had. So there's more data, there's more, knowledge that we can gain, and we try and assess it, and we try and make sense of this. And of course, Monica ma'am will be the best person to talk about this idea, where you're literally able to tell more and more things about how people consume and are engaged or not engaged. But even then, you're trying to make sense of such a chaotic system. So we're doing something very challenging, whereas I think your grandmother has a much easier job when she's sitting in front of you and telling you that story.
So, Monica, since you have a responsibility bigger than a grandmother in ensuring...
I love how my grandmother has become the mainstay over here. Love it.
Because all of us have had grandmothers, and all of us have gone through
Right?
this where
Yes.
we've been
It
told
makes sense.
stories.
The storytelling,
Yeah.
yes. So,
Even when we didn't have the television.
yes. So, Monica, you have to pick scripts and, decide for a very diverse audience. And your content, again, on Netflix is very diverse. From Hira Mandi to Mamla, Legal Hai to Control. And then you have the responsibility also to ensure that adolescence resonates with Indian audience. How does it happen?
I think the Netflix service, the product, does a lot of that job. Even when a Hira Mandi goes global, it is because it has worked so well in the home country. That is how Netflix is designed, that when audiences watch something and love something, there is a virtuous cycle that builds both off the service and on the service. More people watching tell more people. That's how a Black Warden grows. A Telecrime became the most iconic show, and Hira Mandi became the global sensation. And many of the stories that we've done, so off service, like people would watch, talk about it. On service, the personalization of the product, the recommendation engine is so powerful. It allows for discovery. It shares with more and more people that this is trending. A lot of people click through the trending rows. So I think there is a certain, a machinery which is just the product experience, which allows for more and more people to experience the stories. It's the perfect, streaming is the perfect confluence of technology and creativity. So for creativity to flow and to become really big, for it to travel cross borders, cross cultures, and really bring people together, there is technology that aids it. But creativity sits on top of it, because you cannot do creativity from data. When an adolescence came, I don't think, and I was talking to my UK colleague, and they said that the script, when it came to them, was unput-downable. But it was a very experimental small show. In fact, the creators came when Philip Parentini and Stephen Graham came. They said that we want to make a small show. We feel very passionate about this subject, and it has to talk to our community. They were not even talking about London, let me tell you. They said, no, London is not our focus for this. This is about a small community. If people in small communities can actually feel for this, that this is what is happening, that there is, and by the way, they said later that even we did not know the themes the audience would pick. We just did it from a gut. We felt passionately, we made it. And then when we saw the audience like decode it and discuss it threadbare and find more things than we knew existed, that was the magical moment. So I think we have to give audiences more credit than it always begins with a creator's passion, a creator's vision, but also most successful creators have a very deep and continuing understanding of audiences. It is not something they knew about audiences 20 years ago, 10 years ago. It is today. Because the audience insights, the audience is changing every single day. There's 24/7 news coming at you. Everything is content. A person with a phone is content. People who are will post that content. Somebody will watch it. And as talent, as producers, as creators, and as platform, when we make something and we really passionately, ambitiously put it together, we work on it for 3 years, and then it comes out, it is in a different world, as both Sunil and Aditi was saying. So I think it's important to have those insights.
He's feeling happy about it because you addressed him as Sunil.
Oh my God.
Okay, so let's try and sum up this conversation with where we began. And that perhaps will be about connecting countries and connecting creators, the theme of this event. What came first? And this is the question that applies to all of you. What came first, audience or creators?
For me, both. For me, both. Audience and creator.
You have to give a reason, what and why.
See, for example, as a creator, I'll just take recent example, Hira Mandi only. We were very clear what we are making, why we are making. Like I said initially that we wanted to make it into a film, and then we developed into a series because there's so much material into it, and we felt, and when we met Netflix, that yes, it lays into, you can say it, episodic stories in a good way. And then we felt that, this is an original story which has never been told. It's a story from Lahore, and this will resonate India. Hence, we went with full passion and interest that let's build this and go further. And so we had the strong conviction from day one that this will do well, or, it will find its audience. So it's like, you keep doing this on a day-to-day basis, when you're creating, when you're in a development phase, when you're writing. This is a constant exercise and a discussion which you keep doing amongst yourself. So like Samir sir just mentioned that, as a creator, you're also an audience. So while we are creating, but we are also visualizing and understanding that, yes, whether this is going to work or not going to work, or it's going to create a history. Okay. So for me, both.
Well, both, of course, but you know what, coming off Aditi's grandmother, who is the centerpiece of this, what happens is that everyone's a storyteller, and what storytellers need the most are story listeners.
Yes.
Because when you're telling a story, you need somebody to listen to it. What happens then you discover as you go along is that many of us cannot tell a story well. So that makes the storyteller a little more special. And then he tries to build up sort of a group of story listeners. The larger the group of your story listeners, the more successful a storyteller you are. The longer you can hold their attention, the more successful a storyteller you are.
That's
And
spoken
the-
like a veteran.
Well, and the more times you can get them back to listen to your story again, that sort of, builds on your sort of, your brand or your franchise or whatever you're doing. Or whatever, even just as a filmmaker. So I think what happens is that, and with, if you take feedback loops, right? So feedback loop is, you say something funny and people burst into laughter. That's the shortest possible feedback loop. And then as you go along telling stories, the feedback loop becomes really important. So I think audiences are really important, but audiences want to listen to stories, right? A lot of audiences, oftentimes when you hear someone saying something and you say, exactly, that's what I was thinking, that's what I was wanting to say myself, and that's so well articulated. That is a storyteller conveying your own thoughts. And the more you can do that better, I think it works quite well.
Shefali?
He said all the right things.
No.
Shefali, you can talk about your grandmother then.
Sorry, my grandmom?
Yes, please.
Let me talk about others. When there is a situation, a lot of people have similar situations in their life. Okay? For example, a lot of people take, let's say, the metro to go to a place. A lot of people some days miss that train. Every person's reaction is going to be different from the first. That, in a certain way, is creativity as well. Someone decided to wait for another one, someone decided to take a bus, or someone decided to, discuss with the other person next to them and saying, let's share a cab. What I'm trying to say is, for example, in a family, there is a mother-in-law, there is a daughter-in-law. A lot of times, they're sharing the same stories, but the way they express it and react to it is what makes it creatively different from each other. As an actor, I think, I know it for sure, our biggest strength should be to be able to react, not act. So if I did not have something coming in front of me in terms of a situation, how was I going to react? And it goes vice versa. As an audience, you're watching something and you're reacting, probably from your own experience, or like Sir said, that, a lot of people say, oh my God, I felt exactly like this. And vice versa. As a creator, I'm watching what is happening around me. I'm picking up stories from everywhere around me, from people around me. So I think either or alone would be incomplete.
Okay, so when you first heard a coinage like Madam Sir, what was your reaction based on?
I'll tell you very honestly, when I read the script, Madam Sir was the last thing that struck me because the script was so powerful. And there were far more deeper and intense things in that script to actually draw me in rather than just the term. I remember meeting Chaya ma'am, who was the cop who cracked it. And what I understood from it was, she didn't really care if they called her Madam Sir. She was just interested in getting the job done. Having said that, I love it. I love it. After Delhi Crime, I remember I was on the highway somewhere and I see this big hoarding of Madam Sir. There was a serial called Madam Sir. I can't tell you how kicked I was about it. So I love it.
Yes, and Chaya is that way. I mean, she She
She's
means
amazing.
business. She
Oh,
means
yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, those are the cops that.
And she very nonchalantly she means
Yes.
business. She doesn't need to prove herself,
Yes.
that
Yes.
I'm demanding attention. She doesn't. She just commands it. She just sits there and people have to take her seriously.
Yes.
So I think the same applies to Madam Sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Monica?
The question?
Yes.
I think Sameer really did a great job of answering it. But I will just say that I think it'll just stay one of life's greatest riddles. It's like the chicken or the egg. And I think the magic is in not trying to answer it, because one cannot survive without the other. And you need audience energy and their stories to tell, and you need a teller who can actually, as Sameer said, really, build that feedback loop, that Zahan was also saying that, it's a constant relationship. And I think that relationship is the most important thing. And to take that relationship lightly and say that it's one or the other, for a creator to think that it's only about them and their idea, and that's the best, and everybody should like it, or an audience. And by the way, the audience today has disproportionate power. There were times when you would make a story and everybody would watch it and they would not have options. We are living in times where, a Squid Game, a Hira Mandi, an Adolescence, a Black Warrant, a Delhi Crime, and etc. can become so big suddenly because there's a ton of audience talking about it. And then there are stories that audience can completely reject. They might be really great stories. There are so many stories which are very good stories, but there's a very vocal set of people who start talking, who think it's not to their taste, and nobody should watch it. That also happens. So
They influence it.
They influence. And I think we have to understand, this is something which I feel very passionately about. We are not looking at mediums that are only pushing content at you. Streaming is a beautiful pull medium, where you can choose what you want to watch, you can discover. And I think it's really important to allow for different tastes to flourish, different kinds of content and stories to be told. There's room for everyone. So I think therefore, I think the audience is very important, and a responsible audience that allows for everyone's tastes to thrive is also very important.
Okay, so you have put a great degree of responsibility on audiences. But as Samir said, creators are audiences themselves. Go ahead, Aditi.
We're the backbenchers now. Everybody said everything. But I think what Samir sir said specifically, it's an infinity sign. Audience is creators, audience. And I think that's what the magic is. So, and we are lucky that we get to be in that place, in all this creation. And then it also takes a platform or a producer or somebody to see that and see the value in it and put it out there, because without that, the audience wouldn't be getting it. So I think it's that is what they say. Like when we first come into film, we are told it's teamwork, it's teamwork. It really, truly is. Yes. Every single human being on that set is so important. And specifically on the Hira Mandi set, we had lots of four-legged creatures also. Each one was important. It really, really takes a village. And there's not one, everybody is as important and as valuable on that movie set. And that's what that's what you receive. And we receive as an audience, as an actor, as whatever. It's all sort of intermingled is what I believe.
Zahan, would you want to sum it up, perhaps? Because you get the last word here.
Yeah,
Lovely.
wow.
I love your...
I think everyone has illustrated the importance of both things are essential, right? Both the audience and the storyteller, the teller and the listener, jo darshata hai aur darshak, dono zaruri hai. I find it very interesting. Let's say, I think that's clear. I think what I find interesting is we today genuinely are living in a time where globally things are happening in the same instant. I think this is a new thing. I really think. I think it's post-COVID lockdown where everything is happening at the same time. Global releases happening at the same time. We are hearing about current events, things that used to take 6 months. It used to happen that something would happen in the West. It would take 6 months, a year for it to come to India, or for something else to trickle through.
Everything is in real time.
Everything is in real time. So the power of the audience, as Monica ma'am rightly said, is so huge because it is truly global. You are now speaking to everyone all at once.
Okay, so thank you, the beautiful audience right here, and thank you to the creators and the actors on the dais, Prerna, Samir, Shefali, Monica, Aditi and Zahan. Thank you so much for this fascinating conversation. Thank you. Thank you, audience. Thank you.